It is time that we bring on one of our good friends. He is a member of the Countdown to Tip-Off crew, or I should say BYU Sports Station Game Day crew. All-time leading scorer in BYU basketball history, Tyler Haws, is with us on BYU Sports Nation. And Ty, we were just talking about where we think this BYU team is going to finish in the West Coast Conference. Right now, they're fifth. We're at the halfway point of the WCC season. I feel like this team has shown us who they are. We should believe them. And why would we think that they will finish any higher than fifth right now? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think fifth is I mean, hopefully they can finish fifth. It was a pretty dark couple of days. I mean, some of the darkest of the season, I would say. Just a tough road trip, not competitive. I mean, tough on both ends of the floor. There's some broken pieces right now. And I mean, this is a competitive league this year. And for them to finish in the top five, I mean, they're going to really have to turn some things around and strap it on. And but it's a long way to go.
Mark Pope on the postgame show on BYU Radio certainly owned the loss, saying this was on him. They should never, ever use six evers, have a game like that. How much of this is on Mark Pope and the coaching staff versus ownership for the players?
Well, I mean, Coach Pope is always going to be the first one to, self-deprecate and take the blame, take the ownership. But it's not just all on him. I mean, watching those games, these guys were not ready to play in both of those games. I mean, it got down, I think, 28 to, got down big early in both of those games, down 10-plus points in both games, and just not ready to go and let guys, Shabazz goes for 30, Tyrell Roberts goes for 20. I mean, just letting guys get going and get hot. And I mean, they knew coming into that San Francisco game that these guys wanted to shoot threes, and just, I don't know, super disappointing that guys didn't lock in. And it felt like every time those teams made a run, they didn't bounce back. And turnovers were, again, a big issue. But, one thing Coach Pope said was, our hearts are not right. And that's on me. And I think, some of that is coaching. Like that's always, you got to take the temperature of the team as far as where your hearts are. And it's obviously not right. Guys are not playing hard. They're not locked into what's going on. And when they get punched, they're not responding. And so those are all big issues that need to be addressed and need to be fixed. And but I don't think it's all on coaches either. I mean, I remember moments in my career where, coaches are, bringing the fire every day to practice. And, when you get in these dark spots, it can be very, very intense and ultra competitive in practice, almost going back to preseason practices where guys are like, it's a bloodbath in practice. No fouls are called. Like, I expect that to be happening this week. But hopefully there's some guys on this team that rally internally, outside of what the coaches are saying, and care enough about the program and what's going on to rally these guys and be like, we've got to fix this. This is, we got to, the players are the most important part. And there's got to be some leadership and guys that step up internally and, have whatever meeting and talks that need to happen so that, everything outside a game plan, like your heart and your focus and your fight, those things have to be a given every night. And they just weren't over the weekend.
Tyler Haws with us on BYU Sports Nation. Is it a good thing to have a week between games at this point, to sit on the 2 losses in a row, knowing that St. Mary's is coming in on Saturday?
I mean, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the players, and I know what they're walking into this week. And from their perspective, this is going to be probably their worst week of practice, for sure. My sophomore year, I can remember we lost in the first round of the West Coast Conference tournament. Didn't know if we were going to play postseason. We had about 7 or 8 days in between games. And it was, I mean, you're tired, you're beat up, and we had crazy practices that were ultra competitive and fighting, and coaches are trying to light a fire inside you. And no, we'll just have to see how they respond. But hopefully this is a good constructive week where they can right the ship and have the meetings that they need to off the court and get right. It could be a good week. And this team's so interesting because I feel like they ride the wave of who they're playing. And they had Gonzaga beat, had them on the ropes, and let that one slip away. And so I could see BYU coming in and fighting and being in the game, right, in the last 7 or 8 minutes against the Gales. And hopefully that's the case. And I know Cougar Nation and the Rock's going to show up and be there to support. But, I'm most concerned about the fight, and just the feel of those games was not there.
It's tough to only lead for about 4 minutes on Thursday, didn't lead at all on Saturday. I want to ask you this. Is it time to perhaps shake up the lineup a little bit regarding the starters, and perhaps, especially after last week, put Rudy Williams in the starting lineup, or would you keep it the same? Maybe you shake it up after last week and the starts that they had in both of those games. Maybe you do shake it up, and maybe it's a good thing to right the minds of this team and this group and some of the young guys. Like the first 4 to 8 minutes of any game sets the tone for everything, and if you don't bring the fight and throw the first punch, then you're climbing out of a hole the whole game. And those are just hard things to face. And Rudy brought it in both games. He was one of the only dudes scoring, and so I could see them switching the lineup up and bringing him in. But if you're not ready to play, then those guys are going to get less and less minutes. And so I expect some sort of change this week, and Rudy might be a good starting point for that.
Tyler, BYU is 4-4 through the first half of WCC play. To go 9-7 and finish with a winning record, they got to go 5-3 in the back 8, but that includes 2 games against St. Mary's, 1 against Gonzaga, and you got to host Santa Clara. And you still got to go on the road to Pepperdine. I know they don't have a win in conference, but Firestone Fieldhouse has been a weird place for BYU to play. Is it too much to expect this BYU team to go 5-3 and finish with a winning record in conference?
It is a tall ask at this point, but hey, I'm optimistic, and I've seen bright moments of this team and this year and what they're capable of. And so, you have a number of home games there, and if you can find a way to take care of business at home, and you could steal one against St. Mary's or Gonzaga, which I don't know if that'll happen, but win the games that you're supposed to. I could see that happening, Spence. 5-3 on the back end. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but considering where the team is at right now, they've got an uphill battle to climb, and it just gets harder and harder throughout a season because you're getting more and more fatigued. You get more bumps and bruises, and when you lose 2 in a row, or 3. 3 in a row, it gets tough, and mentally it's challenging. And so I don't know. I'm concerned. I hope the leadership on this team steps up, and that they can have a good second half to the conference play.
2-4 in the last 6, not great, but luckily BYU has just a real easy game coming up Saturday against the nation's number 22 team in the AP poll and number 6 in net, St. Mary's. Any long-term concern with sort of how this season is going? Good enough season last year, making the NIT, making a run. Next year in the Big 12, hopefully BYU's better, but But if not, that's tough. And then that next year, it's year 2. Hopefully you adapt. Any long-term concern as BYU heads into the toughest experience of its basketball life next year? But also the biggest opportunity.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how BYU finishes this year. If they continue to trend downward, then yeah, I'm very concerned about just this group and what changes need to be made. Now, I don't think that will happen. I think, you know, guys like Spencer Johnson and Rudy Williams and I mean, even young guys like Foose, who have been through a season, like I expect them to turn this thing around, and so that they learn the lessons they need to avoid those long-term effects, right? You know, you can't get used to and comfortable just not competing and not fighting, and you know, it's not okay to lose games, but you know, as we've seen, it is really hard to win a Division I basketball game, no matter what conference you're in. It could be any guy's night, and most nights guys are gunning for BYU. And you know, Tyrell Roberts is the perfect example. I mean, comes in and shoots lights out. And Shabazz, we've had such a hard time guarding Shabazz, but as far as going back to, I'm getting off on a tangent, but as far as long-term effects, I hope this group can learn the lessons they need to and continue to grow, because they've had some tough lessons this year, and they're learning how to win, especially down the stretch in those last 6 to 8 minutes. And you're headed into a monster year next year, and you gotta learn the lessons you need to be ready for that.
Tyler Haws with us on BYU Sports Nation, always insightful. He knows how to score the basketball as well. Tyler, thanks for the time, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
When BYU needed a clutch shot and a clutch moment, they had that dude, and they had Kyle Collinsworth, and they had Chase Fisher. Like, there were always a number of dudes. I'm looking to the roster right now, and I'm wondering, and I'm going game after game, typically asking my brother or a friend, who's BYU going to go to right now? Who are they going to go to?
There's not an established guy. You're hoping that Spencer Johnson, and he certainly can do it, but yeah. He'll probably get a chance.
Who's the guy that's going to lead out and hit a shot in the clutch?
Is it Dallin Hall? Is it too much to ask? True freshman? We'll see. Saturday night, 9 Eastern. Join us for BYU Sports Nation game day ahead of men's hoops taking on St. Mary's. Tyler, Blaine, Spence, and myself will get you ready. Head of the game on ESPN2 and BYU Radio.
Up next, will BYU be represented on the Women's World Cup roster? Discuss that and much more next. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork offers a large inventory of Ford vehicles, including a selection of cars and trucks, providing a range of transportation choices. From the Ford Fusion sedan and the Edge crossover SUV to a range of pickups including the F-150. Each product line comes with options to enhance performance, comfort, and safety. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Whether you want to rock your retirement on the court, on the snow, on the waves, or in the gym, at Mountain America, we're here to help you get things rolling. Learn more at macu.com/retirement. Mountain America, guiding you forward.
Thing about BYU Sports Nation. It's a banner that unites fans all over the world. BYU TV and BYU Radio are all about bringing your family events and games live. On air, online, and on the free apps. It's the next best thing to being there, connecting your fandom with others across BYU Sports Nation. Download the apps and get exclusive access to analysis and interviews with players and coaches. BYU TV and BYU Radio, the place for all things Cougar sports. Tune in, join in. This is BYU Sports Nation. To interact with the show and get some content throughout the day, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and follow Spencer's Be Real.
Yeah, for more Joe Burrow content. Okay, that's a lie. He is Jeremy. I am Spencer. It's time to whip it. Cougar Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Follow Steve Young on social media because he shot a selfie video with himself and Jerry Rice from Levi's Stadium prior to the Niners-Cowboys playoff game that looked and sounded like this.
Hey, look who I found. Yeah, the GOAT.
No, this guy's
What do you have to say about the Cowboys, bro?
We don't like the Cowboys. We don't like those Cowboys. Hey, look, we got the defense. They're going to take it to Dak Prescott today. Then we got the offense. Well, Brock should run for president right now.
All I know, the last time we saw them, they went down.
That's what I'm saying. You remember that one you threw me in the end zone?
I didn't remember that one.
Yeah.
More impressive, Steve's social media trash talk with all I know is the last time we saw them, or Jerry Rice's chain.
I'm going to give it to Steve because he's really ramped it up here, Jerem. Like he has taken
recently.
his social media game to another level, and I appreciate that.
Whoever he's hired to do this has really done a good
No, he's
job.
clearly doing it himself. It's great, right? He's filming his own videos. He's staying relevant. I'm going to give it to Steve. It's just a couple of goats out to pasture right there. I love it.
Bah!
3 former Big 12 quarterbacks, including Brock Purdy, who just got that shout out from Jerry Rice, will start this weekend in the NFL Conference Championship games. Do you take pride in this as a future conference member, or is it concerning in some way?
Oh, they're that good? I don't take pride yet. We're not in there. I'm not like, I mean, it's going to take a sec before we're like,
Yeah.
you know, big play, yelling, whatever. No, it's cool. It's somewhat random, right? But not that Patrick Mahomes is there. He's always there. You know, Texas Tech, and then Jalen Hurts, of course, after Alabama went to Oklahoma.
Brock Purdy's the wild card.
Well, I mean, in 2 years, there's 2 SEC quarterbacks there.
Come on, and let's be honest.
And Alabama
Jalen
could play
Hurts is
Jalen
as much an SEC quarterback at Alabama than he is the 1 year at Oklahoma. It's like 2-2.
At Oklahoma,
He was
pretty-
amazing, but he
pretty
was
stinking
also a national championship winner at Alabama.
good. Yeah. Did he win the Heisman at Oklahoma? I'm trying to remember. That's pretty good. No, I'm not there yet with like the conference pride with that. You're in that league yet. I'm excited about BYU being in that league.
I'm more excited about BYU having multiple representatives in conference championship games. One as a head coach and the other as the best linebacker in the game. That's what I'm most excited
Yeah, that's
about.
cool. I wish there were more of those.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good to have those 2. Ashley Hatch has 5 goals in 15 caps for the United States women's national team. Will she make the World Cup roster coming up in about 5 months?
I think she will. I think she is the perfect off the bench, we need a spark in the 75th minute type player for the United States women's soccer team. She typically does something really good when she is in the game. Yeah, she scored a bunch of goals. This is great. But she does so, the majority of these goals are coming when she's subbed in limited minutes. Like, she's not playing the full 90 or more.
In this case, it was a start and got one.
In this case.
Yeah.
But typically, she's coming in off the bench and doing something special and is the spark. And so I feel like she's the perfect, late sub, fresh legs. She's a goal scorer. She's an alpha that way. I feel like she'd be the perfect substitute player for this team.
The World Cup is in New Zealand and Australia, is it not? She has scored in New Zealand and Australia for the United States national team, including 11 seconds in one time. It depends how many 9s they're going to take. Because obviously Alex Morgan's the number 1. Sophia Smith is the MVP of the NWSL. It's tough to crack those 2.
Sure.
If they take 3, she's certainly the 3rd.
Yeah.
But the reason that she even started in this game is because Alex Morgan had some tightness before the game. Sophia Smith already had a knock that prevented her from even participating. So hopefully she doesn't need some help to get in there, but she's certainly that number 3. They need to take 3 9s for her to go. And she would become the first BYU player on a World Cup roster.
That would be unbelievable.
That'd be super cool.
To her credit, she's making it a very, very difficult decision for that staff.
Yes. And those are two awesome players. She's really good as well right there.
Take 3. Love that. This weekend at a Memphis Grizzlies LA Lakers game in Los Angeles, Shannon Sharpe got into a verbal exchange.
Skip!
Not with Skip, but with multiple members of the Grizzlies team.
Including Steven Adams.
Yes.
Jeez.
No, don't go after Steven Adams. John Morant's dad was also involved. Which former BYU athlete is the most likely to go all Shannon Sharpe at a BYU athletic event?
A few names come to mind that are friends of the program.
Okay.
Jonathan Tavernari is number 1 in my mind. If Brian Keel, just something, I could see Brian having fun with that. Those are 2 that come to mind.
I feel like Devon Blackman is a guy that would never back. He will never back down.
He'd be right there. Yep.
He will never back down from somebody.
Yep.
And I appreciate that.
Someone talked about Jamal or something.
Yes.
He's like,
he will absolutely go after you. So I like that. I kind of like the feisty. You know, as a member of the media, probably not the best play for Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah, I think it'd be weird if, like, you or I did this, like, courtside at a basketball game, like, standing up, there's security. Like, what in the world? This felt like a PR ploy from Fox to just get some relevance with its Undisputed show.
If anybody else is doing that,
Shannon's had with Skip or
if anybody else is doing that on the front row, they're, like, booted from NBA arenas for life.
I know. They're like, oh, you're a Hall of Famer. Like, and Shannon Sharpe is a big personality. Yeah,
we'll let it pass.
So watch out for JT or Brian Keel or Devon Blackman courtside this year.
And that's said with all the love in our hearts.
We love those guys.
The feistiness of those guys. It was a nice debut this weekend for Trent Moser and BYU men's volleyball. He had 20 kills in 2 matches for the Cougars. He joins us in studio next to talk about his rise and maybe the Cougars' rise in the rankings this week. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
This competition is going to be something else. You have to be able to break through those hard moments when it hurts the most.
Whatever you think you're capable of is true.
You're a fighter. Hold your head up. You know what you're capable of. We're all proud of you.
That's what makes a champion.
Let's go! Wow!
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. A winning weekend for BYU men's volleyball. We love to have you with us in Studio B, and we're also pleased to welcome in one of the stars of the weekend, Trent Moser of BYU men's volleyball. Trent, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
What's up, man?
All it took was 20 kills in 2 matches, and now you're here. It was that simple, right?
Guess so.
How you feeling after the weekend?
I feel great. It was a fantastic weekend for our team. You know, a good learning experience. with a tough Fairleigh Dickinson team, very scrappy. But yeah, it was a good learning experience for us.
Friday night, you mentioned that you were ready for this opportunity. Mix Romanis has some sore knees. You were ready to go. What was it about your preparation that made you feel comfortable with that situation? Because here you are Friday night making your debut in college, and you played well this weekend.
My preparation, like I have a little weird routine I've done since my sophomore year. Like I get Taco Bell every day before a game. I do the hot tub. Either I'm at my house, like in a hotel, I just in the training room. I take a cold shower, and I wear my socks inside out every game.
Inside out?
Yeah, it's a
okay, I'm gonna watch for that now.
It's a superstition thing about me. That's what I do. And then another thing, I just always tend to be ready, because if I'm on the bench, I know I need to go in sometimes, so I'll go in then. But
that is the most amazing game day routine I've ever heard.
You've just endeared yourself to hundreds of thousands of BYU fans with that game day routine.
Yeah, okay. What are you getting to Taco Bell, by the way?
I order online because it's like a special box you can create yourself.
Nice.
So I get a cheesy gordita crunch and a beefy 5-layer burrito, like little chips and cheese sauce for $5.
That's affordable.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll get 2 if I'm really hungry.
Sometimes you get 2 because you're like a 6'8", young man.
You can afford it, Trent. You don't have to worry about that.
Let's get this man a Taco Bell NIL right now. When did this start, and why inside out socks? And
I'd say my sophomore year. I did it every game. In every game I did that, I kind of played really good. And I did it the one game I did not do it was last year in our state championship in high school. And I had 27 kills, but we lost in 3 sets in the state championship. And so I was just like, never again will I never have Taco Bell before
Wait, you didn't have Taco Bell that day?
Nah.
Oh.
The one day I changed it up.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Why'd you change it up in the state championship?
I kind of forgot, I think. And then we just
now it's a habit.
Then we got wiped. I was like, oh, geez.
Okay,
now it's a thing.
You played in Cuba with the USA U21 team in the North Seca Championships. What'd you do? Because there's no Taco Bell there, Trent.
So there I couldn't do that because we had to eat the pork and rice every meal of every day at the hotel.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah.
So the karma people, they understand when it's not available? Is that how that works?
Karma people? Who are they?
The superstitious committee? I don't know.
The Illuminati
League of
running the show?
Superstitionists? This is amazing, Trent. You've just made my day infinitely better.
That's great. I'm looking at those inside-out socks when we play UC
Is it a
Santa Barbara.
specific type of sock, by the way? Same pair of socks, like Lucky socks, or it's just inside out?
Just inside out. But it has to be Nike socks because we wear Nike.
Yes, for sure. Got to represent the brand, the brand with the school.
Can we talk about the outfit today? We got cowboy boots going on today, right?
I'm a big country guy, I'd say.
From Gilbert, AZ?
Yeah, like my parents met country dancing. It's like country music's been like a big part of my family for a long time.
Yep.
It's like all we really listen to. So I got these for Christmas, and I've been rocking them ever since. So.
I think you fit in here. You should go to Spanish Fork and just roll around in a truck.
I love this.
That's great.
The cowboy boots on, Trent Moser.
Just came from baling hay. It's awesome.
This Taco Bell plans later this week.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just walk us through it one more time? Is there an order, by the way, too?
I get my Taco Bell before everything else.
Okay, that starts it.
And then I do the hot tub for like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then I just go freeze to death in the cold shower.
Okay.
And then I put my socks inside out.
The socks.
And I go.
Okay.
30 seconds cold shower? What are we talking about here?
Sometimes it's probably like 30 seconds, like 2 minutes.
Sometimes 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Little Wim Hof.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you about the jitters that maybe get involved with, like, hey, you're in a bigger spotlight. You got to compete for this BYU team, which has a huge following and a huge viewing in a niche community. Does that stuff help calm the nerves?
Probably, honestly, because I feel like if I didn't stick to my little routine, I would have been a little more like, oh geez, like there's this many people here, like looking around and all scared. But like when I got there, I was like, nah, not like I don't really feel that nervous at all. Like I felt like I was at home.
And you played really well, and it's your new home in front of 3,500 fans in the Smith Fieldhouse and a big TV audience, and then 4,200 fans on Saturday. What was it like to play in those first 2 matches for you at home?
I thought it was great. Like the environment's fantastic there. Like after every single point, the gym erupts. It's super loud. My ears start hurting sometimes. But like then like in the middle of the play, like I don't really hear them. I just like
zone it out.
Yeah, and then like once the play's over, then I hear them all again right in my ears.
Yep.
Yeah,
what's it like serving and having to pass? Obviously, hitting is like your strength right now at 6'8" and long. But you had an ace in both matches, and I thought you passed pretty well, which is probably going to be the thing as a freshman that's Probably the hardest at this level, right?
Yeah. The passing is definitely the hardest, like you said. You know, like coming out of high school, like less than a year ago to like where I am now, you know, the ball's moving at like 20, 30 miles an hour faster. It's like, sorry, like literally double the time, like half the time, I mean, to pass the ball. And so I kind of just got to be really locked in there. And so it'll take some time to get used to, but.
What were you most comfortable with in the game?
I'd say serving. Because, like, it's just, like, serving is, like, it's like, I have all control of it. Like, it's just me back there. They have to, whatever the other team does is based off what I do. So I have the whole control. So I thought that was the most comfortable thing for me.
At this juncture, early in the week, and you're coming off 2 nice wins, the team's undefeated. Again, it's early in the season, but you're number 13 in the polls. You started the season unranked. There's some growing confidence, but you get UC Irvine. How much do you know about Irvine? And there's a little bit of an old rivalry there, too.
And it's a short week. It's a Wednesday, Friday. You know.
So, yeah, how much have you studied about them to this point?
So they were here when we played McKendree and Lewis, but we didn't play them because we played them this week. And, you know, they're a pretty big physical team. They have a big lefty outside. It's like from France. He's a big physical kid. And then another big outside who serves really, really hard and, like, hits really hard. So, you know, like, Fair Dickinson wasn't as big as them, obviously, but you know, I think that match, these last weekend, that was really good preparation for this big week next up. And I've watched some of their film, like on Volleymetrics, and yeah, it just seems like they just get up there and hit the crap out of the ball every time. Kind of just, I don't know.
Great stuff. At some point, after a big kill this season, Jeremy, I want you to say the Taco Bell Tyrant.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. The Taco Bell Tyrant. Yes.
I love it. Trent, great to have you with us on BYU Sports Station. Congrats on a great performance and good luck against UC Irvine. Yeah. We'll give you some of our karma to go along with your super stations.
So the karma people can give you the goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Okay, if you missed